Today, we're going to talk about the difference between a domestic iron at your house and this little bad boy that I got here at the shop. Let's get started. Just sitting here hanging out with all my little friends, my hot little friends. Look at them. Look at them go. So where to begin? One of the most important things to cover probably is the temperature. So let's start there. Is this one hotter? I mean, in my opinion, no, just kidding. Technically, no. There are a couple of different settings on your iron. On an industrial, we've just got numbers on the heel there. But on your home iron, you've probably got polyester, silk, wool, cotton, you know. And what's important is that the biggest difference between these two irons is not the temperature. At the bottom, you've probably got 200 to 250. That's where you're going to have your synthetics, where their fibers are more likely to burn. So that's going to be lower on your scale. Then you've got your natural, getting into your natural fibers, silk and wool. That's getting up to 300, 350. And then finally, cotton, linen, up at the 400 plus. The same is true for my gravity-fed iron. So you probably already know the anatomy of your home iron. We've got electric, cord plugged in, water reservoir somewhere in there, usually along the back of the face. You've got your steam and your squirt button. I don't really use that one, but we'll talk about that more later. And then somewhere likely along the back here, you've got your settings. So pretty straightforward, good to go. Let's talk a little bit about the difference between this guy and this guy. My industrial or gravity-fed iron, called such because we have a water tank suspended up here and gravity is pulling water down through this tubey into my iron here to make my steam. Now, this gravity-fed iron is halfway to industrial. I'll make this real quick so it's really easy. Your dry cleaner has a full boiler system that allows them to create a ton of steam inside of like a water tank. And by the time the steam comes up to hit the clothing that they're ironing, they call it dry steam because it's so hot but low moisture because of the whole system. This is kind of a baby version of this. Still relatively wet steam. I know, dry steam, wet steam. But this makes this halfway in between what we've got at home and what the dry cleaner gets. So now, jumping back into the differences between these two. Why does it matter? Why do I use this one instead of this one if the temperatures are actually the same? The big thing is steam. So if we look at this iron here, we've got a little tiny water reservoir, and we do have holes all over the face of the iron here, but we have a nice light iron. It's easy to put up in the cabinet, that kind of thing. That does really matter when it comes to super effective steam, especially in tailoring. So you're trying to get that really crisp edge on the pants or on a nice cotton shirt or anything like that. You're going to need two things: good pressure and strong, continuous steam. The way that we get that steam from this is because of our gravity-fed situation up here. We've got water traveling down this tube and coming into this mechanism on the side that is helping turn it into steam. And then the steam is being distributed really well and powerfully, kind of like water pressure, really powerfully through the end of this and distributing, let's see, yeah, can you see that? And distributing a lot of continuous steam that's coming from that long tube system that's feeding it long streams of continuous water. So continuous steam and heavy pressure. That's the other thing. This guy ain't light. So one of the things I love about this is you see in this I think this metal heavy face, like it looks heavy to me. And it is. It is that way on purpose. They do not make these things for convenience. They make them for function. This is an effective part of the ironing process. This is what makes our pressed open seams and our hems so much crisper than this guy is able to. Let's get his heat cranking back up again. I'm gonna turn this one up to the wool silk, which is gonna be again about 300, maybe 350. You hear that? Do you see how it just went on its own? I didn't even press the button. We don't have any control really over the regulation of steam on this guy. That bubbling sound that you heard it's somewhat antiquated, trying to produce the steam, but producing it all in this really heavy burst that turns into half spit, half steam. And that's that gurgling. So you see how that was loud in the beginning? You're getting this really big, heavy burst, which is making it way too hot in that one position. And then the steam is just bubbling up because it has nowhere to go instead of spreading out through the garment. You're only getting one hard blast after another as you press that button, instead of getting that continuous stream. You see how this steam is just spreading itself really nice and thin? So that brings up two last really awesome, important points, which is this guy right here. This iron top, I actually created this. This is a Husky workbench that I bought at Home Depot that I adore, cannot live without. And I've covered it with a number of different things. Essentially, let's think about an oven mitt. So I have a kind of batting insulator underneath all of this, many layers of muslin. And the truth is that I do kind of put a couple layers of muslin on because it's good cushioning. But then after that, as it gets dirty, like this is never perfectly clean. As it gets dirty, I just staple gun more on. So some of it's intentional and some of it's a little just like laziness. Like slap another one on there, we gotta go. So we got muslin, and then we got some of our batting, like quilting batting. That's kind of an insulator. And then we have under that, you see, it's just going on its own. It's part of the problem. Under that, we have a thick felt wool cushioning, and that is absorbing and distributing the heat inside. You can't see it, but you can feel it. This is all still warm from when I just was ironing over it, and it'll stay warm for a couple of minutes. That's because there is a 1/2 inch thick wool felted pad on the bottom of this that is helping that heat stay retained, but also dispersed, so that that garment, even as I'm moving the actual source of heat, that garment is staying warm anywhere that that heat has come close to. And again, that's giving us a nice distributed and fresh, crisp looking iron. So a padded surface is very important, and then the types of things that you put in there to pad it are really important. Finally, the motion. So you notice that every time, just still going. This is really, I'm really glad that we're doing this because this is a really important point. Unpredictable steam is the only thing worse than a dry iron. The fact that you don't know when it's coming, how much there's gonna be, is really leading to the inconsistency of your ironing. So this is inconsistent, the ironing is inconsistent. The thing that we are looking for most is consistency. Sorry, back to the point that I was making, which is this. Don't keep it in one place. I know that you know this one because everybody's seen that I Love Lucy episode, or if you haven't, indulge. It's a good one. But that is gonna be your secret weapon, aside from the steam above all else. Smooth, slow, continuous movements and hitting that steam button wherever it is. Not over and over and over. Smooth, methodic, regimented. Big, gliding, sweeping motions. And you wanna have a board that's gonna be big enough for you to be able to do that. If you're ironing on a little tiny space, again, you're more likely to hold either iron in one space too long, and then you do have that risk of burning. But I'll tell you this about burning. I shouldn't commit this to video, but as far as I know, I don't know that I've ever scorched anything. God, what a thing to say. Why would I say that out loud? But I think it's true. And more importantly than that, one thing that I want to tell you is, even though our home iron has our different settings for our different temperatures, 2 secrets. Both of these are going to be received poorly, I'm sure, but I'm going to say them. We don't ever change the setting on this. The dial is halfway up, and it stays that way from tweed wool suits to rancher's denim to silk wedding dresses. Why is that possible? Well, I'm sure there's a lot of math, but I'll tell you what I think I know. Shut up over there. What I think I know is the steam distribution and the wet heat must make enough of an impact that from silk to denim to wool, we never change the setting. And I haven't. I mean, honestly, I don't want to age myself here, but I have been using this gravity-fed iron, not this one in particular, but this style of really unchanged, unimproved gravity-fed iron for 16 years. And I have never messed with the settings. I buy it, I turn it halfway up, I turn it on, and then I use it until it dies. And that's it. So I say all that to say, the settings matter, the temperature matters, but the steam matters more. It matters more than everything, and in my opinion, almost exponentially. Put water in your iron. I don't care how cheap it is. You will improve the overall use of your domestic iron if you have water in it and you use it. Use it, use it, use it. I will tell you this, sidebar, I don't know what the squirting is about. I've never used the squirt function. Shooting out a bunch of like full droplets of water is just asking for stains and spotting. So I'll be totally honest, I wouldn't squirt. I would just steam. I would just steam. But use it. The biggest problem with your ironing is either that you're not doing it, and so it's impacting your sewing, or that you were just not using your steam. Use it, use it, use it. Even if you've got this little wild card in your closet who just kind of does his own thing, that's okay. Still use it. The steam matters. That is going to be the biggest thing that's going to keep you from shine, keep you from scorching, and help you distribute that evenly. Okay, am I missing anything? Do I name my equipment? No, never. But depending on the day and how squirrely they are, maybe it's a she, maybe it's a he, maybe it's a they, I don't know. It depends how exciting the day is. It's kind of like a little bit of confetti. Shoo, just a little bit of, this is the iron sending emojis to each other. Shoo, shoo. Enough is enough. Do you need one of these? Yes, don't ask me that. I'm a professional tailor. Yes, of course you need one of those. Do you have room to bolt this into the wall of probably your child's room, because that's, I think, where everyone irons, guest bedroom? No, you don't, so don't do that. Don't worry about that. Takeaway. Steam is important. Temperature is kind of important. And continuous motion on a padded surface that will distribute and receive the heat well. And that's all you need to know. Get out there and, I don't know, get something hot. You know, you're more likely to burn yourself with steam than like with hot water or literally anything else. You're actually way more likely to burn yourself with the steam than you are to touch this, because you're not dumb, right? Watching this video, you can't be dumb. Thank you so much for joining me. Please ask me questions on this one. I feel like there's more to cover, so get down there and do it. Thanks so much. See you next time.